All right, I'm out here at the very end of LeTap San Antonio 2023, and they are literally wrapping things up right now at the stage. All the jerseys have been handed out, all the awards have been handed out. They're just calling in the last few finishers, and people are already out breaking down the course. But I want to share what my experiences were filming this event. So let's get into it. My LeTap experience started on Thursday with Jens Voigt. He was real careful on how we said it. The way it reads in English is Voigt, but that's not how it's pronounced. He said his mother would pronounce it a different way.
I'm here with Tour de France legend Jens Voigt. Sorry, is that how it? I totally second guessed myself. It's Voigt? Yep. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna do.
But he usually goes with Voigt because of how the English people use the other word that kind of goes with Voigt. I hope I'm saying it right. But anyway, my experience started with them on Thursday out here at the Expo. Jenna Sayer and Jens decided to do a sprint challenge for the 250 meters here at the end. And that was really cool.
So we just finished our race today, and I have to say, Jens, you got the best of me on that sprint. You were flying by out there. A scale of 1 to 10, how hard was that?
8.
Okay, he's still cruising easy, but...
Jens is awesome. Like, not that Alberto was not awesome last year, I'm not trying to say that, but Jens was really cool, like almost friendly to a fault. And very welcoming guy, talks with anybody, like, you know, that there's that saying that like, I've never met a stranger, or he's never met a stranger, she's never met a stranger. That's Jens. He's never met a stranger. And like, his memory is really good because like up on the stage at the end, he remembered talking to this young lady who just happens to be one of our favorite cyclists. And he knew where she was from. He knew like all about it. He remembered all of that from their ride. And he's just a very personable guy, man. Jens is awesome.
My elbow, important?
Now Jens, could you drive this?
Oh, hell yeah, I could. I actually, in fact, I did once. And yes, I can. But as a matter of fact, when you buy a car like that, they give you a driver's training because it is like nothing else you have ever driven before. So yes, I could drive it.
You fit in there pretty good.
Yeah, I know, I don't look good in it.
And I am a fan of that guy now, just because of his personality. He was so cool, so much fun. And anyway.
And we're so excited to have you at LeTap San Antonio by Tour de France. Welcome to Texas.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. I can't wait to get this thing started.
It's gonna be fantastic. What do you think of this beautiful weather so far? Probably a little hotter than where you're from.
I can absolutely work on my suntan here because in Germany it's still pretty rainy and cold in the moment. We're just getting into the spring, so I'm not complaining at all about the sunshine.
Absolutely, so good to get outside.
The issue in San Antonio over the weekend has been the weather. So Thursday, it was very windy. Friday was pretty good for the most part. Friday was really good afternoon, right? Friday morning was wet, rainy. Like when we went out and did the coffee ride, it was just, it was drizzling just enough to make the ground wet, which we all know just makes the street slippery, right?
Well, I've known the people at SA Sports for a long time, and we had multiple events happening in town, and I was kind of I don't know, a focal point on a bunch of them in the bike community in general. And so when they reached out for some, you know, basic assistance, I went to the table and kind of did what we could. This is fantastic. Over the years that I've been in business, and the last 30 some odd years now, we've had a lot of different celebrities come through town associated with the bike industry. And last year, Alberto Contador was the host, or was the celebrity, high-profile person with LeTap. And this year we have Jens Voigt and Diablo coming to see us. So it's going to be a pretty exciting morning here too. It's fantastic to have that happening here.
As you can see, we brought some reinforcements.
Jens, welcome to San Antonio. AJ Car, pleasure.
Nice to meet you, boys. Thanks for having me. Yeah, don't be shy. Get in line. Take a picture with the devil. You only see the devil once.
Everybody was so like freaked out that Didi was here because I don't think a lot of people knew Didi was coming. I think that was the issue. I think like the way it had been presented here was everybody knew Jens was coming out. They knew the coffee ride was for him, but they did not know that Didi was coming. So when Didi popped up, everybody kind of fanboyed out and went absolutely crazy. So the mob went and rushed Didi, and Jens, being the coolest guy in the world, was like, it's okay, I'm just gonna go over here and stand over here if anybody wants to come over and talk to me. So it was really cool, and everybody was laughing. You know, Jens took it all in stride, man. It was so cool.
Nice. We'll make sure that you get a picture handlebar to handlebar with Jens. So you guys can remember that. That's what this is all about. So you can be side by side with one of our all-time heroes.
I was talking to Jens later on, and I'm like, dude, I didn't know that this guy was crazy talking about Didi. And I was like, this dude's like for real crazy. He goes, how long did it take you to figure that out? And he was, man. He was just a wild man.
Britain's bicycle shop! Yeah! Britain's bicycle shop! Ali, yeah! Britain's bicycle shop! San Antonio!
Good morning. How can I help you today?
Coole Schuhe hier.
Are you ready for some new pair of shoes?
Yeah,
These are the best from Didi.
Maschine hier. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no!
How can I help you today? Would you like a bike?
Francesco Moza. Francesco Moza, Italy. Bike, bike. Oh, kein Medaille. Kein Medaille. Oh, komm mir nicht durch.
No entiende.
Francesco Moza habe ich hier. Yeah. Britain's Bicycle Job, yeah. Oh, hat jetzt Wein,
20 years?
Weinanbau. In Weinanbau. Britain's Bicycle Job. Ah, Rotan. Ah, lecker. Yeah.
He's crazy.
No kidding. Took you about 20 seconds to work that out, right? The ride was actually pretty good. Nice, easy speed, mellow, not too much traffic, quiet neighborhood. Had a chance to talk to everyone here on the ride. Absolutely lovely people, so I enjoyed it to the max.
It was awesome. What a nice guy. Very fan-friendly, man. Very fan-friendly.
Both of these guys all weekend long just gave themselves to the cycling community of San Antonio, and I cannot express how cool that was to witness. And I hope it comes out in the videos that they did that, because that's what happened. Everywhere I went with these guys, no matter what they were doing, people were stopping, asking for autographs, asking for photos, and at no point did either one of them say no, period. They were fucking awesome. Both of those guys are awesome. Hold on, we're gonna drink one for the fallen soldiers. So after the drizzle and everything on Friday morning, things were sketchy on the weather going into the opening ceremony. The opening ceremony was at like 6 o'clock on Friday afternoon after the coffee ride. And it had been kind of raining off and on all day. So when we got here, getting ready to do the fitness festival, boom, skies cleared up. It ended up becoming absolutely gorgeous. The weather was perfect for that little bit of time. It was really cool.
I'm here with Great Springs Project, building a 100-mile hike and bike trail from the Alamo to the Capitol, building on the amazing greenways in San Antonio and on all the new on-street trails that are coming online. So what Great Springs wanted to do was give cyclists an opportunity to experience the different kinds of trails that they might be using. So whether that's kind of a simple bike lane, a buffered bike lane with bollards, or an off-street concrete trail, or a dirt trail, cyclists can use a variety of different trail typologies along the way.
Bienvenidos a San Antonio! Viva! Viva Fiesta! What a beautiful night to kick off our second annual Fiesta Fit Fest presented by HEB.
The Tour de France is not just about the amazing performance of the riders. The Tour de France is the hundreds of millions watching on TV. It's the families on the sides of the roads. It's 10, 12 million people on the roads watching these riders doing amazing performances. But cycling is not only about performance. So on Sunday, for you, this is your takeaway. Please don't cross the finish line, and the second you stop the clock and you check speed and elevation gain and distance, etc., enjoy your time. You're doing something special. You will be racing under professional conditions with 2,000 other like-minded athletes, and soak in this positive energy and enjoy your time. Definitely see you at the finish line with a smile.
We're here at the Fit Fest Beer Mile. Now, Jens beat me on the sprint yesterday, so I've challenged him to another race, and we're also going to add in one of our team members, so it's going to be pro versus amateur versus rugby player. We're going to take on the Beer Mile Challenge and have some fun out there and see who will take the crown. You guys ready to go?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Good for 100 meters.
All right, so real quick, here are the rules. At the horn, you will run the first lap. Run the first lap, or walk or jog. And then you will drink a beer. Stay to the right, as this is one big giant looper. I'll make sure everyone can get where they're going without crashing in and keep coming back. After you complete the first lap of the first beer, continue until you've completed 4 laps and you have drank your 4th beer before crossing the finish line. Katie Dempsey will be keeping the official time, and I cannot wait to see how this goes. All beer must remain on the course. You must complete the time, the run in 25 minutes time. Runners, are we ready to be a mile?
What do you think? Was it easy? No?
Jens, thank you for taking on the Beer Mile Challenge. Unfortunately, Jens is 2 for 2. He got me on that Beer Mile. How's that feel for you?
Pretty good. I have to see
Still going strong.
Drinking it fast.
Almost there.
It's becoming challenging, but I'm going to bring this project to Germany, and I'm going to organize beer mile runs in Germany.
Remember, if you are getting ready to run the 7:30 beer mile, the 7:30.
Man, I'm a blessed dude when it comes to filmmaking because I've got good friends, I've got good mentors, and my buddy Jim came back out again this year, helped out with some of the shots on the coffee rod, came back out Saturday and helped me all day Saturday. And then he had to go, we call it shading in the business, he had to go shade an XFL game after that. You know, and Jim's retired, right? Like this is his retirement. So Friday went pretty smooth, man. We didn't really have a whole lot of technical issues as far as gear or anything goes. Everything was doing what it was supposed to do. We had a good plan, right? We learned from last year. And Saturday we knew was probably gonna be the hardest day filmmaking wise of the three. And I don't know if that's because like I cover a lot of cycling events. You know, I was pretty confident going into the actual race on Sunday, but Saturday was just a challenge. All weekend was a lot of work, but I think from the videography point of view, Saturday was definitely the hardest. Just because there's events going on like every 15 minutes or so, right? It started out with a 5K and a 10K.
That's the
Small. Thank you. Hey, thank you very much. Small, please. Come back over.
I'm running the 10K this morning. I'm excited.
And it is very humid out. It is almost 100% humidity with a fine mist coming down here this morning at the 5K and the 10K run. And we are underway at the Fiesta Fit Fest 10K presented by Michelob Ultra. Good luck, runners. Bon chance. Buena suerte. Wins the 5K in 16 minutes and 25 seconds. Wow, that is a quality 5K effort here.
Let's get it! Run! Hurry up! You did it! Hurry up! Almost there!
Great job, Dad.
So after the 5K, 10K, we decided to go start filming around the Expo. And as I said, there was stuff going on there at the center stage area every 15 minutes or 30 minutes all day long. There was a workout from F45, Orange Theory did a workout, a bunch of other groups did a workout. There was beer yoga, and that's not even taking into account like all of the vendors, and they all had these cool exhibits and stuff going on at the same time. If you didn't come out this year, come out next year. The Expo itself is absolutely free. You can come out there. There's a bunch of swag out there. It was a really good time, and there was almost too much going on to try to capture it all. And man, I can't stress it enough. If you are into fitness and just want to kind of see what's available in your area, come out to the fitness festival next year and really check that out. Especially it's free, man. I mean, you can't beat that deal.
4, 3, 2, 1, and we're underway with our kids running.
Saturday morning was very warm and it was very humid, but it wasn't unbearable. But by the time we got to the Expo meet and greet with Jens and Didi, man, it was pushing 90 degrees. And then on that blacktop out there, it was easily hotter than that. I had been trying to stay hydrated as much as I could throughout the day, but man, that sun was kicking my butt, especially around the time Kenny and the Ferrari rolled up. So remember earlier when I said Jens was like nice to a fault? This is kind of where that comes into play. And I'm, being facetious there a little bit, but the meet and greet was scheduled for like an hour, and an hour and a half in, Jens is still there because there was people still in line, man. Jens is just a nice dude. Like, he's not gonna turn people away that came to see him, right? The issue is like, while that was going on, the kids' Le Tap race, bike race was happening. And Jens, we wanted Jens to come over there. The kids may not know who he was today, but in a couple of years, they'll know who he was.
3, 2, 1, go! And we are off with wave 2 of our kids.
I had a blast filming the kids' Le Tap race. I don't think the kids knew exactly what to think of Didi, which made it even more fun for some weird reason, but I had a really good time. After the kids race and Jens had finished taking all the selfies and signing all the autographs, they did a Q&A session on the main stage with Jens. And man, he had a couple of really good things to say.
So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Jens Voigt. And this fine gentleman over here dressed in red, he might even be more famous than you, Jens, I think, Didi the Devil. If you've ever watched the Tour de France, you've seen him on all the mountain stages. So when you go and you look at famous riders' Wikipedia profiles, they'll have a category for what kind of rider they are. You'll see sprinter, you'll see climber, you'll see all-rounder. But for you, in your Wikipedia profile, it says breakaway specialist. And really, and when I mentioned you in the preamble before you came out on the stage, that's really what made you famous early on. You went in almost every breakaway from mile or kilometer zero. You'd be attacking off of the front and going in the breakaways in any race, small races, big races, stages of grand tours. You were always going for it. Is that the way you envisioned that you would be the terminology they would use for you as a breakaway specialist?
I feel honored for that title. Once in a cycling magazine, they called me the Elvis of breakaways. And since Elvis, the king of rock and roll, they basically said I'm the king of breakaways. So it's an honor. But I would much rather be a sprinter. A sprinter, a normal day of work for a sprinter looks like this. Being invisible all day long, adjusting the gel in your hair, getting your teammates bring you water bottles. They lead you to the line and you work for precisely 200 yards. And you take the money, the glory and the contracts. I would rather be a sprinter, but it was never given to me. So see, at a certain moment in life, you gotta be honest with yourself. You look at the cards life has given to you. It doesn't help to look, yeah, but Peter Sagan had better cards or whatever, Mark Cavendish. You don't have their cards, you have the cards in your hand. And you gotta play the best possible game you can with the cards you have. So I'm looking at my cards and go, okay, what do I have? The desire to win, the big engine. That's about it. I'm never the best sprinter, never the best climber. So my only chance was to be in a breakaway, even though I failed 9 out of 10 times. This 10%, 5% chance of winning was good enough to keep me motivated. And since you're from Canada, you will appreciate this one. The greatest hockey player of all times, Wayne Gretzky, said, I missed 100% of the shots I never took. So I thought, well, then I'd rather take a shot into the unknown, and it might be a goal, it might be a stage win, instead of going, well, I'm not going to win, so I sit in the peloton and I'm going to get beaten at 100%.
I'm counting water. I'm trying to eat when I can, because you're just steadily busy. And I must have drank 2 gallons of water that day, and I just could not stay hydrated. Saturday ended up getting up to it was 93 in my truck, 93 Fahrenheit in my truck when I got in it in the afternoon. And I'm sure out there on the asphalt, it's much hotter. I mean, it was just miserable Friday afternoon, and I got home and like all my clothes were like just stiff. And I mean, I'm not in the best shape in the world, let's be realistic, but it was hot. It was very nasty. And like I put sunscreen on and everything, and you're still just sweating it off as quick as you're putting it on. And I started getting heat cramps by the end of the day.
Thankfully, we all had a little bit of a break as everybody made their way over to the Legends dinner at Chicken and Pickle. And this is where the first of the equipment issues starts coming into play. I got there ahead of everybody, and I was just kind of soaking in air conditioning and water as much as I could. But as the parking lot started to fill up, I wanted to get some drone shots of Chicken and Pickle. I like the way that place looks from the air. I don't know, I like looking at the courts and everything. But as I'm flying the drone, it did okay. And then when I brought it back, I was trying to download a couple of pictures off of it. And man, it was freaking out. It had just gotten too hot. I don't know what happened. You know, I guess just from being in the truck all day, you know, I had it in shade, had it kind of covered up and everything, but I guess the heat was just too much for it. I didn't stick around the dinner long because I needed to get home, charge up all of my gear, update firmware, download media, and just do all of those videographer things. And we had a super early crew call on Sunday morning.
The race starts at 7, but we needed to be here early because we had to get our truck in position, you know, needed to get some video of people before the actual ride and things like that. All right, beer break. 3, 2, 1,
and we are away and rolling from the ride at the 2023 Le Top San Antonio Tour de France.
So for the actual race, I think that Le Tap did a much better job this year. Instead of doing like a 100-mile loop, they did a 50-mile loop. You just did twice. And we all know, like if you've been riding bikes for a long time, or if you've been around cycling for a long time, like that makes things so much easier. Because you could do the 50 miles, if you're not feeling it, hey man, your car's a mile away, go over there, get in your car, go home, get some food, do whatever you gotta do, right?
I think it's thanks wife. Thanks wife. It could be Texas like thanks wife. Thanks wife. Fantastic. Let's go!
Well, I think that worked out really well. The course was much better marked this year. We saw a bunch of crashes and a bunch of mechanicals. And number one, there was really strong winds. And then they had the road blocked off with cones. And what we're thinking is probably some of the cones blew over, and then you're riding in these large groups. You can't see what's out there. So people split the cone and boom, 5, 6 people back. You didn't see them. You don't know what they're splitting. Nobody's calling anything out, and crashes happen. Yo! Yo!
Okay, thinking it would be good, but I think we got it.
You handled it like a professional.
Should be fun.
I was talking about technical issues. Thankfully, the shot of the guys taking off from the start line with the Ferrari in front and everything worked out really cool, right? Like everything went good. Gimbal's working, camera's working, everything's in the right position. We passed Jim, who was like where the actual depart is, right? Because it's a neutral start. So where the depart is, and I found out later that Jim had his drone up at the same time, but he had issues with it. And that was a sign of things to come. Now, we could debate whether you should have the drone out in the high winds. I looked it up on the website. We were below the limits of the Mavic Air 2S, Air 2S, and I didn't have any issues with the wind. What I did have issues with is like the signal dropout. I had issues at the first rest stop. It just lost signal. Brought it down, I put another battery in, it worked out fine. I don't know what happened. Got all my shots. Went to another spot. Again, drone was fine, right? It did fine in the wind. No issues with dropout or anything. We finally catch up to the front. Then we ended up racing basically the front back. We went a different route, and the goal was to try to get back to the start finish line so that we could film that before they got back here. And we got back here and we did really good getting back here. I got the drone up in the air and boom, radio signal lost.
Here we go, I think this is it. This is the 100-mile champion coming out across the finish line. Matthew Morrow, Phil Gaimon, and Ron Corzon and Tiffany.
The funny thing was, when we got back here, I lost the signal on the drone. I sent my other buddy that was helping me drive over with a GoPro. He got over there, hits record on the GoPro dies. And it was overheated. I don't know what's going on. We weren't even filming with it. Like, I have no idea how it got overheated or what was going on. So I guess it's just snake bit that I wasn't supposed to be the one that actually filmed the finish today.
My coach had, things that I was supposed to do. That's what I did, and I won it.
Equipment issues aside, there was a lot that went on in the second half of the 100-mile road race. Number one, I had heard rumors earlier in the weekend that Phil Gaimon was here. Phil Gaimon, if you don't know who he is, he's like a pretty famous American cyclist. And we follow each other on Instagram because we have a mutual friend from back in the Preem TV days. And anyway, I didn't know he was in town until I actually saw him on Sunday. And I was like, oh, wow, Phil's out here. That's really cool. And man, I tried to do an interview with Phil. I recorded it, but I recorded it in slow motion. So there's no audio, and it's terrible. The second thing was, one of our colonels from the Med COE on Fort Sam Houston was out, and he's an avid cyclist. He rides a lot. Me and him have seen each other at a lot of events, and he ended up riding basically everything from the KOM to the finish of the 60-miler, with Jens, and that was really cool. Jens had a flat, leading up to the KOM, and however, he ended up jumping on in with Colonel Weldy's group. And man, it was really cool to be able to get that footage from Mark Weldy, Colonel Mark Weldy.
All right, here we go. I think Jens is behind me. Crazy number there. There's Jens! Yes! Jens! And another crazy German! Didi, go! Well, if I'm gonna get past on a hill, it's gotta be by the one and only Jens Voigt! Awesome! Nice way to Sehr schön! Jawohl! Jetzt gut German! Where did you learn that? In Kaiserslautern. Oh wow, for the army? Yeah.
Coming on into the finish. And they're gonna cross it all together.
Here we go. We just finished the top San Antonio, Texas, and my hero of the day will get this medal now from me.
All right. Thank you, Jens.
My pleasure. Well done for all of us.
And man, it's funny how things work out. I missed a drone shot. I was pretty disappointed when I was recording that video there. And then I get home and Mark sends me that clip of him and Jens, and I was like, that kind of saves the day. It was really cool. And it just, again, goes to show the character of Jens, right? Like, he was obviously happy to be finished with that 60-mile ride. It was crazy windy out there. Again, man, I'm really blessed when it comes to having friends and coworkers and things like that that are willing to jump in and help me out when I need them. And today we had Steve Rogers, one of my coworkers and friend, come out and do the driving for us. Man, he did a really good job. It took his weekend off to come and do this. And man, it was really cool to have him out here. And man, I can't thank Steve and Jim enough for coming out and helping. It would not have worked hardly at all if those guys hadn't been here. It would have been a just total nightmare. So Letap 2023,
it was a much better organized event than 2022 was. A lot of little smart decisions were made. Was it perfect? No, nothing's perfect, especially when you're trying to do something this large. And I'm not just saying that because they hired me or whatever. I'm really saying it. Like, if some of my friends are promoters and try to do things like that in the cycling world, it's hard to put on even a small event. Trying to do something this massive, trying to please a bunch of different masters over 100 miles, multiple days, it's a complex thing to try to do. And they did a much better job of organizing things this year than they did last year. I feel like last year was a bigger event, but this year was probably a better event, if that makes sense. And I think it comes with that experience, right? Because now this crew has put on La Tap and other cities in North America, right? They're doing 2 in the United States and they're doing 1 in Canada. So that's, you know, they're getting experience with it, right? They're learning things. So that's really cool. I know it's expensive, right? It is expensive. It's very expensive. But it is a very cool, unique thing that you get to do with this event. And I don't want to say you're going to get out of it what you put into it, but it's sort of true, because like there's a ton of stuff out here and a lot of it's free. And if you do sign up for 2024, come out here, explore the expo, talk to the people. There's a bunch of swag, there's a bunch of stuff. They were doing IVs this year. They were doing the hydrotherapy. They were doing a lot of things this year that was really cool. And it was more, I feel like it was more focused this year, you know, on you know, people that are trying to be healthier, trying to be fitter and things like that. I think they did a really good job on a lot of things. There were some things that I think they did worse this year, but there was a lot of things I thought they did better this year, you know, and I'll leave it at that. I thought it was pretty cool. I think it would be worth your money to try it out and see if it's for you. Because if you want, we were talking about it when we were riding around, and it's like, you know, this is what you pay for. You get blocked off roads. You got, you know, miles of stretches ahead of you. You got safety vehicles beside you. You can just go out there. I don't want to say relax, right? Because you can never truly relax when you're on the bike, but you can sort of relax, and you can sort of just focus on the riding, right? You don't have to focus on, is somebody going to come up and kill me, you know, and hit me with a car? You know, it's a lesser chance of that when you're in a big group and you're in protected lanes and things like that. So, yeah, I think La Tap 2023 did a number on me. I'm hurting. All right, that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for the people that came up and yelled at me, talked to me. Man, it's so encouraging to know that the stuff that I'm doing is affecting people and helping them and make informed decisions and things like that when it comes to these events in San Antonio. I can't even, like, it blew me away. Thank you guys so much, man. All right, La Tap 2023. Peace.